welcome to my YouTube channel today. So, on this YouTube, we talk about new beginnings. And I've already had Jessie on last week. We talked about new beginnings when she became pregnant and she was depressed. I don't know if we went into that much detail. Um, but she shared so much about her spiritual journey and so excited because her husband joined us. And the thing that I'm so excited with this particular episode is we're going to include support systems when somebody's starting over because it's really tough to be in a position where you're watching everybody's or someone else's life change and everybody around doesn't know what to do or how to help and you can't change their life for them. So we have Martyn today that can shed some of his insight on what he went through um, when he was watching Jessie go through her spiritual awakening type of thing. Right, you guys? That's what
Yep,
we're
that's
on?
right.
Okay, great, great. So, we did go into Jesse's journey in quite a bit, but to give a little more context about like the family support part, I want to talk about what you were going through circumstantially. So, like you had just given birth, like starting from that, because you did share a little bit, but we talked more about how you started with the soul contracts and the numerology. You moved to the shamanism training for 3 years, and then you moved into dancing. Um, so it all kind of became this pathway where you went from the energetic level to the mental, what's in the mind, and then the physical. So you were moving through these different like veils of reality or experience. And all of that is amazing, but it's really theoretical. So I really want to get into the nitty gritty, the ugly, messy part of being human, because I feel like so many people don't talk about that, but it's the most relatable part of the whole journey.
Yeah.
So, do you want me to ask a question to direct you, or would you kind of like to direct the flow of how we start your origin story?
Yeah, sure. Ask a question.
Okay. So, I know that you gave birth to your second son, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And you were really depressed. And it wasn't on the episode last week, but you said that when we talked in a different conversation, you said that you felt like there was no coming back, that you were at the end of your rope. It was like the end of the game. Like you just felt like there was no recovering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, I'm gonna go into
the
a
thing,
question.
right, the thing that kept me going and the thing that made me say, I'm not dying today, like this doesn't end today, is my family, my loved ones. I couldn't leave my beloved children. I couldn't leave my beloved husband. That was just, I didn't have it in me to devastate them so much. And so it was so important that Martyn was extremely supportive and helpful during that time. And yeah, I guess maybe I'll kind of pose the question to you. What allowed you to be so compassionate and helpful and not like, want to just run away, which is what I think a lot of partners do when they're, other halves are struggling and sick. It's just like this, and you can speak from that and maybe tell a little bit about your origin story so we can catch everyone up here. And it'd be fun, I think, to go into a little bit of how we met and, kind of our,
Well,
our,
let's start
our
there.
arc, right?
Do you want
Yeah.
to start there? Because I mean, that's the real beginning. I guess like starting at the beginning makes sense. And then we can catch up on how that played out when you were going through such a pivotal life change. All right, so how did you guys meet? Tell me the love story. I want it all.
I'll start. I'll let Martyn talk. So yeah, go
Okay.
for it,
You're
honey.
gonna let me talk. So I am from England originally, and at the
Ah,
age of 12, I was paralyzed and given a week to live. And
oh
I
my
was in
gosh.
hospital with a syndrome called Guillain-Barré syndrome, and at the time, it was relatively rare for someone that young to be suffering from it and know what to do. And they told me once they figured out that I wasn't going to die and this is what I had, and I might recover but not fully, and I wouldn't possibly walk without assistance again and things like that. But in that moment, I was adamant that I'm not going to heaven, which is where I believed I would go at that time. And I basically said, I'm not coming, and I have so much more to do here and so much more to explore, which led me to explore kayaking, climbing, mountaineering, and I became
Oh,
a
wow.
kayaking
You're an outdoorsman.
an outdoorsman. So I became a kayak instructor and came to summer camp in America at the age of 18.
Cool. Where was it?
It was in Pennsylvania, the Pocono Mountains.
Oh, that's so cool.
The honeymoon capital of America at
Is
one
it?
time.
At one time.
Oh, I can't imagine going on a honeymoon in Pocono. It's pretty. Um,
Yeah.
It was back in the day when
Yeah.
people from New York and New Jersey and
oh, okay.
would
Kind
go
of
there.
like Dirty Dancing, like that era when it was like, let's
Exactly.
go to a dance thing for summer. Okay.
Yeah, but it's still going on. I mean, it's a very traditional overnight camp. A lot of families that have been going for generations, their kids go and, it would,
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't a family camp. It was for children. Yeah. And I had just graduated
Okay.
college with a teaching degree, but I was
Oh.
adamant that I wasn't going to go and be, boxed in a school system right away. I was kind of a free spirit and I wanted to, play a little bit longer. And so I went to a job fair with my resume, and it was a summer opportunities fair. And I said, I want a leadership position at your camp, because in order to make it, responsible, I needed to go home and tell mom and dad that I had this leadership position. I wasn't just a camp counselor. So I found this camp in the Poconos, and I was hired to be the evening activities director.
Ah.
And I went to camp, and
Jess was rooming with my then girlfriend,
Ah.
and I was late and lost my visa, and it took me a little extra time to get there. And when I did, my girlfriend introduced me to Jess, and at that moment, basically I was peeking through the crack in the door, and I was like, hi, nice to meet you. And
you said, Ayo.
I said, Ayo, which is how you say hello where I'm from. And then that was it. I knew there was a connection. She took my breath away, and I was like,
Aw.
and then really, then Emmy, my girlfriend, proceeded to tell me she wanted to be with other people that summer. And so I was like, great, me too. I don't know how much detail you want me to go into.
Not too much.
Circle back if there's more that you want to share. I think that's so you guys met at a kids' summer camp. And you were teaching kayaking and you were the activities director. That's awesome. I do want some highlights though. Like, you don't have to go into the nitty-gritty of like how your relationship worked out, but like, what were some adventures? And they can just be like, you were on a summer camp. Like, what did you get? Did you go kayaking? Did somebody get taken away in what are those, river rapids? Like, anything exciting like that happen?
Yes. He was the safety kayaker. So the kids would go on these big, huge rafts on the river. What was the name of the river?
The Delaware.
The Delaware.
Ah.
And he would go in his kayak, which only fits one person, But like some of the things he would do is put some of the girls on the backs of his kayaks, and I would get jealous. There was kind of like a back and forth for a little while. But yeah, he did have one of those moments where you can talk about it. You almost lost a camper, right?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, a little girl. She was 11, and the raft flipped, and we couldn't find her, and she was pinned to a tree, and so we had to run back up. And I mean, I have lots of stories that are, crazy, and rescuing climbers and different things like that. But yeah, I mean, we lived at summer camps at Jess's. I was also a climbing instructor, so and Jess's place was right next to the climbing wall. So we would get to see each other, but not. And I think if one of the things that was amazing at camp is, you would have moments of PDA, but I could see Jess from afar, either at the
Mm,
pool but I couldn't
yeah.
touch her and I couldn't be with her. She was so far away, but yet so close. And I think for me, that that memory of just wanting that time, wanting to be, but
Mm,
we're not allowed.
Right.
We couldn't,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, the forbidden love attraction.
Yeah.
you see each other in passing, but you gotta a little bit of the Romeo and Juliet, the
Yeah.
Montagues and the Capulets, but not quite. Like not
We just
obviously
couldn't
not that
be
extreme.
public about it until, kids
Yeah.
went to bed. Then we'd go out at night and there was a bar with a pool table and we'd had, lots of fun. And
So
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
That would be an amazing like rom-com. Like I could see it, honestly. Okay, so how did you transition from like the summer pining in the Poconos to like getting together?
Yeah.
It's a big story,
It's a,
really.
yeah.
I wasn't legally allowed to stay in the US, so I was flying back and forth, and we had a long distance relationship.
Oh
And Jess was
wow.
in San Francisco, and I was in England, and I would call her every day and tell her how much I missed her. And then one day I told her I would visit. I was coming to visit her and her sister, because she was living with her sister at the time. And really, that then sparked a 3 year back and forth of us going to summer camp and then over
Wow.
the winter getting together, whether it was in America or in England, and just trying to keep that long distance relationship moving forwards.
He was very persistent, very on top of it, dedicated, devoted to talking to me every day to the point where my sister thought he was a stalker.
I was, for lack of a better term, but I was in love. And,
Aw.
I told Jess that I loved her and I would marry her 3 days after the
Wow.
first kiss.
You just knew?
Yeah, I knew, but I also had I don't know what you would call it. I just, if I want something, I do everything within
Mm.
my power to make it happen.
He beat death, so
Yeah, it makes sense. Like when you have it like such a I just realized I had my glasses on. I could see a lot better. Oh, there you are. See even better now. It makes sense that having such a like really close brush with death at such a young age, like I could see where that would inform you wanting to live life to the fullest and not getting hung up on incidentals that we think matter, just and they don't. So I mean, and
and that was
also
my
like,
attraction to him because I was still in that place
mm,
of like, judging myself, judging other people, worrying about, status and what would it look like and all of that. And so when he was like, I'm going to marry you, I was like, no, you're not. You don't fit into my world. There's no way. Like, he had long hair, tattoos, he didn't go to college. I just graduated. I was just like, that's not going to happen. Like, it's just not going to happen.
so you said that like so every summer would you guys go back and work at the summer camp again? Was that
Yeah, for
Yeah.
five
that's so
years we
cool.
worked at that one camp, and then we
Wow.
actually ended up at a different camp, and then we went back to that camp. So it was like a 10-year journey of working
Wait, what?
summer camps.
You
Yeah,
worked in the summer camps every summer for 10 years?
Hmm.
yeah. It
How
was
long were you, was it 3 years that you were doing the back and forth between San Francisco and England?
It wasn't just San Francisco, but yeah,
Oh,
it
so
was
she moved
three
around.
years of back and forth from San Francisco and
North
North
Carolina.
Carolina, and
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
And
But so
San
yeah, we'll skip
Francisco
ahead
seems,
a little
oh,
bit. So sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was just saying, like, I can see like North Carolina is on the East Coast, so like the flight for that, but having to fly across the Atlantic Ocean and then across the entire United States, like that's not a small jaunt, it's not like a weekend trip.
mm-mm.
So that like really have to commend you on having a long distance relationship that you guys did. It's so fascinating to me that you guys did summer camps for 10 years. Like how did that work with like regular work during the spring, fall, all the like the summer season, not summer, but like the when you weren't at summer camp, like how did you do it so that you could go to summer camp every summer and then like have work the rest of the time while doing your long distance relationship? Because that's a lot of juggling.
It was a lot of juggling, and so the camp hired us to do recruiting during the off season. So we
Oh,
were
okay.
employed during the off season, and
So
then
you still worked for the
we still
camp.
worked for the camp, yeah.
Ah,
And
that's
then
cool.
I
yeah,
didn't in England, just so I had other work in England that I would go
Oh,
pick up
okay.
and do, and then I'd leave again.
Did
Um,
you have to get a visa? Like did you have to renew your visa like every year to come back and do it?
yeah, and
Wow.
then one year, the year that we decided to get married, we got denied. I got denied the visa, and so
Wow.
Jess did a lot of work on finding a new visa that would fit, and then getting help and sponsorship to make that happen. In order for us, we wouldn't have got married if we didn't get that visa. It was a year-long visa. It was great.
yeah, it was through the YMCA. The
Mm.
YMCA had like
Training program.
yeah, some sort of training program, so we had to get the camp. But I remember telling my mother, if this YMCA visa doesn't go through, I might be getting married sooner than I thought I would.
Mm.
And my mother was just beside herself. She did not think that this was the right man for me.
Oh,
But, she totally embraced it and accepted it, and, booked a trip for the whole family to go to England to meet his family before we got
oh wow.
married. And so, yeah, it was we were very blessed for that all to work out. Yes.
Well, it sounds like blessed, but also like there's a lot of fortitude because you're like, well, if that doesn't work, what's plan B? What's plan C? Like, because
hmm
plan C was getting married sooner than, like it sounds like no matter what happened, you guys were gonna be together. So I think that's really sweet.
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to think of the moment when my mind like switched to like, okay, yes, I can marry this guy, and I can't really pin it down. I'm still working on it, but I will say like that everything I loved about him when I
Hmm.
went through my depression, I started to hate about him. His
Ooh, that's such
his
a good
free spirit,
transition. Uh-huh.
his free spirit, his happy-go-lucky, let's try it. Like, let's go this way, let's go that way. Let's just live, let's enjoy, and I'm sad and I'm like, honey, we have children now. We have to be responsible. We have to, take care of business, and we can't be,
Mm.
so free and easy and, all that. And it was so I started through my depression, I started pointing the finger at him. And that's when things got really hard. And though I didn't point the finger at him like externally, I didn't say to him, this is your fault, but internally, talking to my therapist and, writing in my journal, it was a lot about if only he were different, then I would be
Mm.
happy. And I didn't have the knowledge and the understanding that that is absolutely the wrong way to go about this.
Mm.
And so when I found the tools like soul contract readings, and I learned that we have soul contracts, we come in with certain challenges. My challenge was using my voice. His challenge was valuing life. And
Wow.
so it softened me, it softened everything, because I felt like there was some higher plan and that we were doing exactly what we came here to do, what we were supposed to be doing. I was finding my voice. He was living life. He was valuing life. And then I did the readings of my children, and just things started to make sense. And as I began to heal, he, did everything he could to support me. And maybe now is a good time you can maybe talk about that, like what that was like.
Hold on, I want to circle back to I want you to set the stage of what it was like when you were going through your depression because it's like we can talk about okay, so you had a baby. Were you in postpartum?
I mean, technically, I don't
You
know what
don't
that
know.
even
Okay.
means.
Okay,
It was
then
just,
we won't focus on that.
I finally reached out for help after my second child.
So
You know,
you were already in kind of a depressed place.
yeah, yeah.
How long had that kind of gone on where you noticed it?
Probably, like 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a significant amount of time.
hmm
So, did it just kind of like gradually build up and then it just got like when you reached the point where you felt like there was no recovering, like had it built up gradually or had it always been kind of intense and it was just dealing with the intensity was just really hard?
I got less and less able to put on a face, put on a mask,
Okay.
so it was always there, but I was an achiever, a good girl, a performer, a pleaser. So I
Mm,
just buried it. I tried to bury it. And then really, when I tell my story, the breaking point was really, I was reading a bedtime story to the kids one night, caps,
mm-hmm.
caps for sale, if anybody knows that story.
I
Um,
don't.
and there's a part where you're supposed to like kind of sing out caps, caps for sale. And
Mm-hmm.
at that part, I just started crying. So I had like
Oh,
my boys on either side of me were laying in bed and I just start crying. And that's the moment where I just said, that's it. I need to get out of this mess. And I was already on antidepressants and anti-anxiety at that point, medication.
you'd already tried things that were readily available and like people knew were helping. So it sounds like it wasn't like a light depression. It sounds like it was a deep, like soulful disconnection, which makes sense with the soul contracts.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I
I
really
wanted,
feel like it was a wake up call. It was like
yeah,
you're not doing what you came here to do. And so, yeah, the universe kind of, you know, makes you wake up to that in some way. Like it gives you some sort of challenge to wake you
you
up.
needed to get the instruction manual when you didn't even know there was.
Right. You're
Sorry, I think
starting,
there was a technical glitch because of the getting over you for a second. So I
yeah,
just
you're
want to give
kind
it
of glitching out a little bit.
a. Okay, I think the timing corrected. Yeah, I glitch out from time to time.